Hello, it's Andrew Eborn again with a very, very special edition. I'm delighted to welcome back Andy and Brian. How are you both?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, very good, thank you. You can call us Brandy if you like.
Brandy! I love it. Can I just say, both of you, it was so special to share. And Brian, I'll let you into a secret. Andy beforehand was very worried, if you like, that you may not want to talk about what is clearly a very difficult time. How do you feel having shared such an intimate moment with your son, perhaps for the first time? You say he never asked those questions. How are you feeling at the moment?
I'm feeling great. I'm glad I've done it. It's something that, well, without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. I might say that I've got a picture here of the family when this was taken in 2007. Starting from right to left, it's Terry, and there's Michelle, and then Sally Ann, and then my other son Rodney, and then there's Andy Clockwise at the end. He had a photograph of this as well, and the girls have just popped in, make sure I'm coping all right. Like I said to you, they're very protective of their dad. I love the pizzas, and it's something. I mean, so I haven't been dwelling on it, because as far as I'm concerned, that I think he had the best choice of being adopted, and he had some lovely parents up until his teenage years, when things turned a little bit bad. Bless him. But I think he's come through that all right. He hasn't really talked about much. He's talked to you more about what went on than he's told me. But that's up to him. I don't push him for questions and answers, and he doesn't push me for questions and answers. If he wants to ask something, then I'll answer it. You know, there's not a problem.
Well, maybe, and you had, as I say, Brian, and I had a long, well, over 3 hours with Andy, and I thought it was nice to do little bite-sized chunks this time. What I loved about it, Brian, is that Andy beforehand was saying he wasn't sure you want to touch on these things, and there's lots of questions he hadn't asked, such as why. Yeah. And for the first time ever, he's heard you talk about these things.
Yeah,
I did know a lot about, and I spoke about this last time, Andrew. I did know a lot about what Brian's told you. I mean, and I think the reason that I didn't push for so many questions with Brian is because he's always been so open and to tell me and give me this information. So I've not needed to push him for any sort of answer. The only thing I have learned today is you know, the fact that there were so many of them living in the 3-bed house, and they, you know, just didn't have room for one more. But everything else I was aware of.
Well, the interesting thing, I mean, and maybe this is a fair summary.
Brian's been very open.
Maybe this is a fair summary, is that Brian, at the age of 19, found out on the doorstep from his girlfriend's father that his girlfriend was pregnant. In Brian's ideal world, he would have stayed and let that relationship blossom. They probably would have got married and had you as their first child. Is that fair, Brian?
That is fair. Yeah.
Okay. And the second occasion, when he realized that wasn't possible and he was told by his girlfriend's father, he tried to meet up to try and make a way to make it work. Even at the very last moment when he was presented with adoption papers, he was asking his own family if they could take you in. Is that right, Brian?
That's right, yeah.
So in the ideal world, firstly, he would have married your mother and you would have had that family unit. And secondly, if that were not to be possible, he would have had you and really hoped that his parents would take you in. Is that fair?
That's fair, yeah.
How do you feel about that, Andy?
When I went through divorce with my second wife, I fought for the custody of my son. Sorry?
That was this, your first wife.
What?
She wasn't your second, she was your first.
That's what I said first.
You didn't, you said...
Who's that? Bring them in. Bring them in. This is...
Come in.
Bring them in. Let's have a look. Who's this?
Have a look at you, honey. You want to see what a good-looking woman you are.
No.
She don't want to come. She's camera shy.
She's not.
Here she come. Look out, there's trouble now.
Here she comes.
Now you've asked for it, Andrew.
You know, Andy?
Hi, Elaine.
Hello. So what's your name?
Elaine.
Hello, Elaine. Lovely to meet you. I'm Andrew.
Hi, how are you?
I am so amazingly well and inspired by your husband and your... Do you call him your son? Do you call him your... What do you call Andy?
Andy.
You just call him Andy.
Andy, that's it.
That's it. So tell me, because we've had everyone. I like this. This is like a sort of pop in. This is the great thing about these sort of things. Well, somebody else is there as well. Bring them in. Whoever's here. Who else is there?
Jerry's here.
Oh, bring her in. Bring her in.
We had this situation when Andy came over for the first time. Everybody was gagging to get in on the act.
Kept texting, didn't they?
They kept texting and ringing up and asking how things are going. What's he like? Is he good looking like his dad? You know, that's we had quite a good conversation. But
So Elaine, tell me then, when did you first know about Andy?
The day I first met Brian.
And what did Brian say to you?
you can't remember, can you?
So long ago.
I'm the same.
That was 45 years ago. Been asleep since then.
But he explained to you he already had 2 sons, basically.
Yes.
And he explained about Rodney.
Yeah.
And he explained the circumstances about Andy. Are those the circumstances which we heard today?
More or less.
Well, which bit was more and which bit was less?
You should have said yes.
All right, yes. Yes, it is. End of. It's more or less what he said, yeah.
Because a lot of that, I mean, it was the first time, and you can imagine, I mean, Andy was saying beforehand, the one question he hadn't asked was why. And I think the fair summary, as Brian said, the reason why is because he wasn't allowed to. And in his ideal world, he would have loved to have had a family unit. He would love for Andy to have been taken in by his own parents. And it would have been very different then, wouldn't it?
It would. I wouldn't be here. My 3 girls wouldn't be here.
I know it's such a thing. It's such a strange thing to ask.
Yeah.
You know that if Brian and Jackie got together and and they'd brought me up, then Elaine wouldn't have been there. Bill, Jackie's husband wouldn't have been here. None of the kids would have been here. None of the grandchildren would have been here. It's just you can't.
It's boggling that. The mind boggles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The bit I like about things is she's had 3 girls and we've had 1 boy and 3 girls. I think that is a very similar outcome because I was, although I wouldn't have had a large family like my mum and dad did, I certainly had 1 or 2, and I've had 1 or 2. I mean, so we've been very lucky. We lost twins, which was very sad. And we lost a single baby, which were all boys, because the wife couldn't carry boys. So we've been through some difficult times, and it's made us stronger people. And it is the way just things have turned out. Like we were talking earlier about people losing stillborn babies. Why does that happen? And life is like it is, isn't it? I mean, say that it's like passing on. Everybody eventually has got to pass on, but when you go, it's you don't know, do you?
And you talk about that. I think the great thing, the way that people don't have regrets, is what I sort of always said to myself. The way they don't have regrets is to say things and to ask things during their lifetime that they don't otherwise have the opportunity to ask. Is that fair?
That is fair. Yeah, I mean, so that a lot of questions and answers. I got very involved with Andy. I used to go to his shows, take the family over. We used to get concession on the seats. He'd been very good. I mean, so he always used to squirt me with the water pistol. He used to make sure he got me in the audience. But it's been an experience that I'm glad that I've been involved in. So I do singing now, all thanks to him. I've been singing for the NHS. We've raised £400, me and the wife.
Well done.
I've been doing street parties well, not street parties, but I've been entertained outside the front of the house, and I've been round to my friend's house, and we've been raising money for the NHS, because I think they've always been there for us, not just now, but they've always been there for us. They take on diseases that we don't even know about. I mean, so people come into the country with malaria, tropical diseases, and they have to deal with this on a daily basis. And I think it's something that I've contributed to all my life. And if I can still help contributing, then that's what I should do. You know, I've got to the stage now where I want to try and give something back to life instead of keep taking all the time. I feel that my singing, I do a lot of Jim Reed's songs, and I think they're very healing songs. They've got lovely words in them, and it also reflects on my relationships with my other women, because I like to try and ease my
I love the
own.
look of Elaine behind you there. I thought that was very good,
That'll be
Elaine.
by the end,
I
Elaine.
think she was going to give you a little clip behind the ear then.
That'll come. She'll whack me in a minute. But she, if I wasn't like I was, she'd think I was ill. I think she likes the way I am. If I want to go and do anything, I go and do anything. I just do what I want to do. I live like a single man, really. I just make sure she's got everything she needs in the house. I do the washing, I don't do the ironing, but I make the beds, I do the hoovering up, I clean the bird out, I cook for her.
I don't do nothing, no.
I do what I can for her. And
that's one. And what I love about it, and you can tell there's a lot of love between all of you. It really is welcome to my world. I mean, you mentioned last time, and I talk about regrets and things like that, and I talk about positive things, and it's such a good position that you'll be in now. Andy had a few questions, which I think you've answered. You've been so open and frank and honest and brave about it. Do you have anything you want to ask Andy, which is outstanding? You said you haven't really talked to him about the situation. What would you like to ask Andy?
I know all that I need to know. I mean, say he's been very open with me. We haven't really talked about family issues. If something crops up, I have a word with him, and he'll either tell me or he don't tell me. But I think the road trip we done to America
5 years ago today.
that was very good. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think he was going to come along, and he got a little bit het up in San Francisco. But that I see a different side of him then. But
what was that about? Tell me about San Francisco. What happened? Did he leave
well,
his heart there?
He went down the road the wrong way, and he got pulled over by the police. And of course, he got to where I was supposed to be. But he didn't tell me where to be, but he blamed me because I weren't where I was supposed to be. But I didn't know where I was supposed to be, so how could I be where I'm supposed to be?
It was a misunderstanding, Andrew.
And you know what? He got told off from the police. He spent all that time.
I was stressed because the old Bill had pulled me over.
And then he takes us back into San Francisco to get a picture of Mrs. Doubtfire's bloody house. You know, he gives on his phone. Oh, I've got to go see Mrs. Doubtfire's house. And back we go into San Francisco amongst all the bloody mayhem. And it took us 4 hours to get out. But it was a different side. I haven't seen him get short before, but he got a bit hot under the collar. You know, and that was nice to see. But that just proves he is human, doesn't it?
Well, I think that's right. You know, I think people have to show emotions, and actually, there must be a lot of pent-up emotions over all the years and things like that. So I understand when you know a family that can row together is a family that stays together.
I think that me and the wife have been very lucky. She's always been the boss. I've had the clip around the ear a few times, and she held up amongst the coats and whacked him with the saucepan. But apart from that, she's been lovely. You know.
It's glorious. Andy, do you have? I mean, there's a lot of things you say you haven't asked Brian beforehand, and you were treading very gently and respectfully beforehand. As Brian, and you're as you say, Brian, you've been brilliant today and really, really opened up about things we weren't even sure you'd touch on. Are there any remaining questions for you, Andy? And if so, what are they?
No, none at all. You know, I'm very, very happy with the whole situation, I said to you last time, I'm very, very lucky that it's all worked out this way. I mean, Elaine, she's been brilliant with me. You know, it must be difficult for her to take me in. You know, I'm nothing to do with her. But she does treat me as one of her own, and I do love her for it, and I respect her, and I think she's great. I think she's wonderful. I've never told her that I love her before. There you go.
Thank you.
I do. Well,
I can feel that head getting bigger.
I love both of them, and you said earlier on, you started to ask me a question about when Brian had said in an ideal world you would have married Jackie. That didn't happen, and then the family didn't want to adopt me. That didn't happen, and you started to ask me, how does that make me feel? I just feel very lucky, Andrew, that things have turned out the way that they have, and I don't wish for anything else other than what I've got. And I honestly mean that. I've got a fantastic relationship with Brian. I've got a great relationship with my mum as well. And with all of my siblings on both sides of the family. There's just no animosity. I feel very welcome on both sides. It's odd. I mean, I have to look back and see when I got in touch, originally with Brian and originally with Jackie, because it feels like I've known them all of my life now. And I can't, to try and pinpoint this, it's weird. It feels weird that I have no memories growing up with my siblings, because I feel like they've been there all the time. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, but it's great. It's wonderful. And yeah, I do have my favourite chair when I go over Brian's, and it's not because it's closest to the door. So
yeah, that'll be ready for you to go out the door next time you come.
They've all been wonderful, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I mean, yes, I did go. There was a rough patch that I went through with my adoption, and I was talking about that. The time that I found out when I was adopted, and my mum had hit the bottle and was trying to take her own life or not. But over the whole, I had a good upbringing. I respect my elders. I think I've turned out all right. And I
think it turned out lovely.
Any other way, I think it's wonderful. I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah. Showbiz. I met so many people since I've known you.
Oh, going back to that gold disc that Brian was holding earlier on. It was a show.
What are you done with it?
I can't believe it's not magic. There you go.
I can't believe it's not magic. It was a show that I put on, and that was Alan Astra. You're great friends with Alan.
No, good old Alan, Barbara and Alan Astra. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're great friends with everyone. And by the way, I've still not met Kylie.
I know, I've got a surprise for you. I can tell you that later.
Yeah, okay.
He's a regular watcher. She said, "Come on, Elaine," and then, as long as Elaine's here, she's happy.
And so Alan Astra made those for our dressing room doors for the show. So that was Brian's star. Yeah, that's what that was.
And what I love about it, I mean, looking at things for the future, and it has been, people use the word inspirational far too often, but it has been inspirational. And by that, I mean, people have been inspired to open up, to reach out after all these years, and actually to ask the questions which people are too scared to ask. Because by asking those, you can get settlement. You can get what they call closure in America. And the idea is you then put things in perspective. Is that fair?
I think so. I think that if he's got any questions that he feel that he need to ask, then they need to ask. I mean, because I can't read his mind any more than he can read mine. But we've had so much from Andy since we've met him. I mean, so me and the wife can't thank him enough. We've done the cruises and that. We've been Las Vegas. I've experienced things in my life that I never thought I'd get to do, and I've always wanted to sing, and he's given me that opportunity. He done all my photographs for me. I've even got a little app on there. You put it on your phone, and you get "Welcome to My World" come up. It's been fantastic.
Do that again, so that Andrew can take a screenshot, and then he can scan it later and go and watch you. There you go, screenshot. Lovely, that'll work.
Hold it up, Brian. There you go. Fantastic. So and you've got the telephone number there. Read out the telephone number, Brian. Here we go.
No,
Read it out.
don't you dare. No, don't you dare. You'll get people phoning you up when you stop.
He's available for bookings.
Glorious. Love it. I love it.
You can do a duet with Kylie.
Everything's possible. Now, the other thing which you said, and I think it is important, and Andy said, it's the first time he'd really said to Elaine that he loved her. And a lot of people, they go through life and they turn around, and you touched on it as well, Brian, you talked about when people don't have an opportunity. The reason sometimes death and things like that is so difficult for people is they don't say, while people are here, the things that should be said. So with that in mind, perhaps Brian can go first. What would you like to say to Andy?
Well, I'd like to thank him for coming into my life and for giving me all the opportunities that I've had, because he has created and opened doors for me. And I do enjoy our hugs and our little pecks. And I'm glad we can get back to doing that again. I think he enjoys it as well. And I've even got my other son doing it now. My son Rodney, I've got him to give me a cuddle now. And it's just the relationship has just been, I've got no complaints at all. Been marvellous. I've always been welcome when I go over there. I have it difficult to pay for a meal, but he's thinking about my pension. I can understand that. But it's just been a lovely experience. I think, well, the wife, she's taken over. She adores him. I mean, so there's no two ways about it. I've been talking to Andy today. I think, well, why aren't you talking to me? But he's talking to the wife. You know, that's how the relationship has gone. And I'd like to thank him for coming down the path and knocking at the door and coming into my world. And I hope that we have many more lovely years together.
Andy, what would you like to say to Brian?
Nothing. Obviously, thanks for not turning me away, because you never know. You know, I know I contacted Jackie and she welcomed me into the family and I built up the relationship there, but there was no guarantees that Brian was going to be doing the same thing. So just to say thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lovely.
Andy and Brian, Elaine and everybody else, thank you so much for sharing. It will mean a lot to people. I wish you every success. I'm delighted the conversation will continue, and you're welcome at any time to tell us how it's all going, which will all be a joy.
I look forward to the Kylie chat.
And you want the Kylie chat? Well, maybe we get Brian and Kylie doing a duet. You did say that, and that'll be super.
No, I thought that Brian was going to break into a song then when he said, you know, I'd just like to thank him. Welcome to my world. I thought he was going to go off on one.
He could do that. But maybe both of you then. Maybe both of you can tell us. Andy seems to have frozen a little bit, but maybe both of you tell us what your hopes are for the future. Tell us what your hopes are for the future. Oh, here we go. There's Britain's Got Talent. Is that your number? 29854. He's got them all. He's got all the stuff here.
Britain's Got Talent. That's the one where we've done a duet. We've done Welcome to My World as a duet. And I reckon the harmonies were lovely. But sadly, we never got through to the television. But we got onto the ads. The suit was there. Like I say, we put the suits on. And it was a wonderful experience. He's shared with me. He's helped me through. He take me through on the tube, on the train. We got these cars to stick into the underground. He's just been fantastic. I mean, he's just been very supportive, helping me get through, making my life's ambitions come true. I mean, so when I done the cruise ship, he put it on the web for me, on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I mean, so I'm all over YouTube now. I'm like a bloody rash on there now. But
you'll have to Google him, Andrew.
We've had, we don't do a lot of singing together apart from the cruise ships. We do like to sing songs on the cruise ships. And he normally gets songs that people can sing along to. I normally do what I know, which is Jim Reeves. I like Jim Reeves. Like I said to you, people get I like to do healing for people, you know, going through difficult times, because I feel I've been able to do that to help people. That's the way I look at it. Like when I done the street parties, everybody was shouting more and more, but you get so you do what you've got to do, and you can't keep doing more and more because I haven't practiced anymore. So that was it. But the whole journey since 2007, it's gone from strength to strength, and I'd like to thank Andy for that, for encouraging me to do what I've always wanted to do. I mean, so all right, so the first bit on the cruise ship was very, very nerve-wracking, and I think if we had to shot a few out and duckling and partridges, I wouldn't be able to get through it. But that was a part of the journey, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sharon got a hole in one, bless her. That was lovely. I shan't forget that. And we climbed the wall. We done the wall. Spider-Man. Up the wall we went. Sadly, he didn't do it on the first day, but we went back and he done it on the second time.
Yeah, but he went on the flow rider. You didn't.
But he went on the flow rider and I didn't. I weren't brave enough to go on that way. That was chucking in a boat. I thought that would break every bone in my body on that. But we've had some lovely times, Andrew, and I do appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me. I hope that those that are listening to this learn something from it, because you have to be a little bit positive in life. Sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, but I looked on the positive side. I've got a lovely wife now. All right, so I didn't get the boys, but my girls have been as lovely. They've been very supportive, and I thank them for that, which is very important. I mean, so they help me with all the shows. They do the tea and coffee at shows I do, and all in all, I think I've been a very lucky man, you know, to how I started and how I finished up now. I mean, so I shouldn't be here really, because of 2018 that took me over. But my daughter came around and shook me back, so I had to come back for a little bit longer. But that's life, isn't it? You know, you take life as it comes, and when that gets you, that can come to you just like that. And you must try and get the best out of life you can up until you get that click. You know, it's something we've all got to go through, but hopefully we'll have a few more years and we can get to sink together on the old cruise ships again next year, hopefully. And we're just looking forward to the future, which is very good. And I wish to thank you for taking the time out to talk to me. I wish to thank Andy for being involved in my life. And with that, I think that's all done and dusted. You're gobsmacked now, aren't you? You don't know what to say now, do you?
Oh, I was going to see if Andy wanted to respond. And Andy, the final word to you.
Well, just to say thank you, like Brian did. Thank you to you for giving up your time and doing this. You've already suffered 3 hours of me, so you've done a couple more here, no doubt. Yeah, it's. I hope people get something from it, and yeah, it's been great, hasn't it? I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
We're all very lucky. We're all very lucky, you know. And being there, being able to interview us, he's very lucky, isn't he? You know, I'm normally out shooting, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm at home, look. You're very lucky. Yeah, that's how life is, isn't it? Lucky.
I should be so lucky. If only we had Kylie here to sing us out. That would be the perfect thing, wouldn't it?
Oh, I could be so lucky.
I'll tell you what, Elaine, let's get all the girls in. Whoever's in the house, let's get them all in. They can all say goodbye. Bring them all in.
Yeah,
this is the moment.
There.
Look at the camera shot behind there. Who's in the house with you? Who's in the house?
They don't want to know.
Don't want to know.
They get very embarrassed. Look.
Look, every time you move that, that's so hilarious. I love it.
Yes,
Andy, Elaine, Brian, everybody, Terry, everybody, it's been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel as though we've been on a fantastic journey together. I wish you every success. But in the meantime, take care and enjoy the rest of your time together. It's been a real joy having you on here. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 It's fine.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So there you have it. All's well that ends well. And it was a joy, an absolute joy to get Brian and Andy together. Andy was very worried beforehand. There were lots of questions he hadn't asked, and he wasn't sure whether Brian would want to discuss them. In the end, it was a full and frank and heart-wrenching discovery as to what happened about Brian's own aspirations, that he really wanted the relationship to work. He really wanted Andy to be part of his life. And the great thing, what a fantastic attitude that Andy certainly is. And he has now found a new family, an extended family, which he is enjoying and certainly enjoying to the full. If you've been touched by any of the subjects which you've raised, if you'd like to take part in the show or have any suggestions as to others who might want to take part in the show, write to me at lol, that's LOL, at octopustv.com. But in the meantime, from me, Andrew Eborn, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.